Hello everybody, I'm Nire and welcome to day 2 of Bookmas. So in today's video, we're going to be doing my November wrap up, which basically just means that we're going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of November. So for me, November wasn't like the best reading month. I really thought that I was going to read a lot of books during November. However, I did not anticipate to be as busy as I was. So I was not able to read all the books that I planned on reading during this month. However, I was able to read a few books. So those are the ones that we're going to be talking about in today's video. Actually, before we get started talking about the books that I read during the month of November, I thought we could talk about my stats. So I read a total of 8 books. 4 of those books were full-length novels and the other 4 books were novellas. I'm actually not going to be talking about the 4 novellas that I just mentioned because they're actually part of a future Bookmas video, and I just don't want you guys to know my feelings on them before you watch that video, so be on the lookout for that. 100% of the books that I read during November were fiction, so I did not read a single non-fiction book. My top genres were literary fiction, fantasy, and romance. 2 of those books were audiobooks and 6 of them were ebooks. And then finally, out of the 6 books that I had on my November TBR, I was only able to read 2 of them. I really did think that this month was going to be the month that I read all the books from my monthly TBR. However, again, I just did not anticipate to be as busy as I was. So unfortunately, I just was not able to do so. But you know, it is fine. We'll try again next month and hopefully one day I will be able to read my entire monthly TBR. However, I will say that the 2 books that I did read from my November TBR, I really did enjoy. All right, so let's go ahead and get started talking about the books that I read during November, except of course the 4 novellas that I'm just not going to be talking about in today's video. So the first book that I finished during this month was Babel by R.F. Kuang. I can finally say that I read this book. I have been wanting to read this book for such a long time. You have no idea. It's been on my TBR forever. I have put it on multiple monthly TBRs and I just, for some reason, never picked it up. By this time, we all know how obsessed I am with R.F. Kuang. Like, that is no secret at this point. I talk about how much I love her books pretty much in every single video that I make. So it was just so crazy to me that I just had not read Babel until now, but I finally was able to do so. And I'm glad to say that I really did enjoy it. I gave it a 4-star rating. I, of course, absolutely love the writing. I think that R.F. Kuang as a writer, as an author, is just so fantastic. She always makes me reflect and she teaches me new things, and her writing is just always so poetic and so metaphorical. So that was, of course, something that I absolutely loved about this book as well. And then I also really enjoyed the story. I thought it was very intriguing. There were so many like underlying topics and themes that I really did enjoy exploring. However, I really did not love how this book ended. I just really wanted to know more. I thought that it ended in a very like weird place that just left us wondering, you know, what happens next? Everything that built up during the story, you know, the big moment at the end, did that do something? I wanted to know more. I wanted to know, you know, the fate of the world now that this thing happened. And of course, I'm speaking, you know, very vaguely about the things that happened in this book because I don't want to spoil anything. It definitely felt as if this is just going to be the first book in the series, and in the sequel, we're going to see like the aftermath of what happened. But I really don't think that R.F. Kuang is ever going to make Babel into a series. I think this is going to be a standalone book. So I really did not like that part of the book. But other than that, I really had a great time with it. So I'm really happy that I read it. Of course, R.F. Kuang can do no wrong. I love everything that she writes, and this book was just no exception. So technically now I only have Catabasis left to read from R.F. Kuang's backlist. So that is the next book that I'm hopefully going to be reading very soon. So the next book that I read in November was actually Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the second book in an interconnected standalone series where we follow cowboys and their love stories basically. And in this one specifically, we follow an interior designer who booked a job working at the main character's ranch. She's going to basically renovate an entire house, and they meet and they spark up a romance basically. And it was very fun. I had a great time with it. You know, I thought that it was okay. I really did like the main couple and their romance. I thought that it was very cute and I just absolutely loved their dynamic. I thought that they definitely made a great couple, which is always an amazing feeling, especially if you're reading a romance book. I ended up giving it a 3-star rating, which is the same rating that I gave the first book, even though I really liked this one a lot more than the first book. However, I also did not really like the ending of this book. I thought that it was just like, I don't know, so unnecessary. But other than that, I really enjoyed it and I thought that it was a fun time. So next up, I read The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I actually ended up giving this book a 4-star rating. I thought that it was a very powerful and intriguing story, especially being from the point of view of a girl just trying to survive, you know, in the world and discovering the way that women are treated, not only in society as a whole, but also in her her community and how that has affected her in the past, in the present, and how that could affect her in the future. I actually listened to this book as an audiobook, which I think also made my experience a lot better. I highly recommend the audiobook. I definitely recommend you pick it up if you have not done so already. You might want to check trigger warnings just in case, because this does deal with some heavier topics. And then finally, the last book that I read in the month of November was Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This is actually a book that I've been interested in for such a long time, and I've always wanted to pick it up, but for some reason, again, I just have not until now. And I enjoyed it. I thought that it was going to be a more emotional, impactful book, but in my opinion, it was very surface level. Like the themes of the book and, you know, the story and everything was very, you know, heartwarming. I did enjoy it, but I just found some characters a little bit annoying. So it didn't really left like a big impression or anything on me. I mean, I'm glad I read it. I thought that it was a good book. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars, but I don't think it's anything that I'm going to be thinking about very often or anything like that. But, you know, I liked it. I just didn't love it. Alrighty, so that brings us into the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And also, if you have not done so already, don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to turn on your bell notifications if you want to get notified when I upload my next Bookmas video. And I'll see you tomorrow for Bookmas Day 3.